Well, guys, as always, appreciate your time coming out on a Monday for this entire building. It's a Tuesday, but appreciate you guys taking time to come out. And, man, thank you, Jesus, for another day of life, for the opportunity to make it to the championship game. And it's cool, man. We got such a great group of young men. You know, I got a lot of texts after our win on Friday from a bunch of supporters, family, and they're like, man, Coach, you know, congrats on the season. But just so you know, I want to make sure the boys know, like, the job's not finished. And I just smile because I'm like, man, you don't know this group. Like, you don't know our team. You don't know how they're wired. You know, we're very hungry to continue to push forward. Yes, we're proud of what we've done. But you do all that to earn the right to play in the championship game. I mean, right above me, that goal has been there since I've been in this building for 8 years. And we have not always accomplished it. And maybe every year we've been picked to win it, and we have not always got it done. And so I'm excited for our team to have a really great week of prep. We had a good practice today, some things we got to clean up, so we can earn the right to play our best on Friday. And we know UNLV, they know us. I got a ton of respect for their staff. Coach Odom, I mean, the job he's done in the 2 years he's been there, I mean, second to none. Got a lot of respect for what they do schematically. I think they have some of the best players around. That's what I told our team. I mean, when you play in a championship game, you want to play the best. And UNLV coming to the Blue, I mean, we know we're getting their best, and they're one of the best teams around. I mean, a top 25 matchup. Across the board, they've got a bunch of talent. They play well together. They're very motivated and driven to win this game, just like us. It was going to be a great matchup on the Blue Friday night, and that's what you want in a championship game. And now both sides got to earn the right to go play their best. UNLV, I mean, you look at them holistically. I mean, special teams-wise, been one of the best special teams units in the country, from blocking kicks. By far, one of the best returners in the nation in number 21. Ricky White's blocked a bunch of kicks for touchdowns. I mean, we know special teams-wise. I mean, they put it on film. I mean, they do a lot of great things special teams-wise. Offensively, one of the most explosive offenses in the country. Rushing, I think they're number 2 or 3 in the nation rushing the football or running the football, but their pass game has improved a ton too. I mean, Ricky White, one of the best receivers around. Williams, number 6. I mean, you talk about a young man coming to his own, not only making all the throws, but God forbid it's covered and he takes off. That might even be more of a nightmare than him throwing it. So they've been very explosive to date. You know, they put you in a lot of conflict across the board. So we got to be disciplined. We got to do a great job with our eyes and have a really good game plan to go cut it loose on Friday. On the flip side, defensively, one of the top rushing defenses in the country, one of the top turnover margin defense in the country. I think they're third in the nation in picks, really good on third down, really good on fourth down. I've been open about number 7, Woodard. I mean, I think he's one of the best players in the nation. I love watching him play. Don't like playing against him, but love watching how he plays the game. He's relentless. He's a captain. I'm not in their building, but I know he's that guy that's there early, leads that team. I think their safety, number 1, Catalano, does a really good job. I think he's got 6 picks so far. They got a bunch of really good guys up front. And that's just a snapshot. I mean, this is exciting, man. We got a phenomenal team coming to the Blue. They're motivated to win this game. We're motivated to win this game. And now we all are working our tails off to earn the right to play our best. So thankful to be in this position. Job's not done. Excited for Friday night.
It has worked out with national TV game and Big Noon Kickoff coming. They're bringing their show, and just looks like whoever wins gets the playoff. They're playing for it. Just the way it's kind of worked out for the league, for you guys, for them, and the stage, for this conference and for you guys. I mean, I couldn't have probably asked for anything better, I guess.
Yeah, BJ, it's awesome. And that's what I told our team. And I'm sure Coach Odom's telling UNLV the same. But I told our team, guys, this is why you come to Boise State. You came here because you want to earn the right to play and win championship games. Not because of what I have done, because of the years and years of success that has built this place and pushing it back to the standard and to where we need to go forward. So it's awesome. I mean, Big Noon Kickoff, Friday night championship game, everything on the line, all chips on the table. Like, let's go. Put the ball down. I joke with our staff. I'm like, guys, I don't want to peak too early, but I'm fired up. I want our team to be on a good simmer throughout the week. But we had a team meeting yesterday, and it was on because it's exciting. I mean, all the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears from January to now on both sides, Boise State, UNLV, to come to a crux on Friday night, awesome. Can't wait.
Maybe this is the biggest game in Boise State history. Maybe this is the biggest game in G5 history. Looks like ticket sales are going pretty well. What do you expect from the atmosphere there on Friday?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's Bronco Nation shows up no matter what. I have no doubt their support, who they are. This is going to be a sellout. And then you add on top of it, championship game, all the implication, everything we're talking about. I mean, it's been a phenomenal atmosphere for a championship game.
What about the Spencer? Sorry, man, I forgot what I was going to say here.
You could ask whatever you want, John. Favorite movie?
The advantage of playing this game at home. What is it schematically? I mean, it feels like a really big advantage that they have to come here.
Yeah, playing on the blue. I mean, and we talked about this before. I mean, the best teams win at home. I mean, that's just, you look at all the stats of the great teams that play really good at home over the years. You got to play good at home. And playing in front of Bronco Nation on the blue, absolutely. It's also something that I told our team. I've been a part of 2 championship games that we've lost right there on that field, where everybody thought, oh, we're playing them at home, we're going to win, it's going to be awesome. Did not happen. And I've seen 2 teams celebrate and carry the trophy out of that stadium on the blue. Those are moments you never forget. And it sounds good, it's motivating, whatever. We got to go earn the right to make sure that doesn't happen. And UNLV's working their tail off to make sure they take this trophy home with them. So playing at home is a big deal, Johnny. Now we got to protect the blue.
Going back to that game in Vegas, what bugs you about that game? What are you dying to fix this week?
Yeah, when you leave a game, Mike, there's a lot of things you want to fix to learn and grow. And from that game, they're watching that game, we're watching that game, they're watching us since then, we're watching them since that point. And there's a lot of things that we're better at to this point. There's some things that we got to continue to fix because they created some schematic issues. They created some one-on-one personnel issues that we got to have answers to fix. So it's all going to come down to fundamentals and technique. At this point in the season, there's not some brand new schematic answer to fix things. It's a fundamental and a technique, and then whatever side of the ball in all 3 phases playing together and doing their job. That's what it's going to come down to. They're explosive. We're explosive. In all 3 phases, who's going to do their job the best and make the plays they should make.
Does it different feel when you play somebody for a second time? And if so, like last year we did it. It was a one.
Yep.
It was the first game. How does the first game, you think, affect the preparation or the actual game the second time?
Yeah, Bob, I think whenever you play a team twice, you know each other better than any team you've played to that point. From schematically to personnel-wise to how the game flow goes, how they're going to respond to things, how we're going to respond to things. And we knew going down to UNLV, it was going to be an absolute heavyweight fight, and it was. And here we go, round 2's on the blue. And no different. And in the past here, I mean, like I said, we've struggled to beat teams a second time in championship games. And so for me, I'm looking at holistically, why has that happened? How can we make sure it doesn't happen again? But at the end of the day, this is a whole new game. Every game is a whole new game. And that's no different for us as we go through the season, week 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. You can't look at a team and be like, oh, well, they played that team kind of bad, so we're going to beat them. Absolutely not. I mean, you see that across college football. Every week is a new week, no different. We know each other very well, a ton of respect on both sides. But Friday night, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new game. That's in all phases. So we all got to earn our right to make sure we play our best, and that's our focus this week.
The touched it, Spencer. It's the whole idea of it's tough to beat a team twice in the same season. Is it actually the case, or is it just a new game? You kind of move on from the last one.
I think it's a new game. And yes, there are things you know about each other, but at the end of the day, it's a new game. It's a new game, regardless that we played them a month ago, 5 weeks ago, whatever it was. It's a new game. And we know each other better, but it's a new game. And at 6 o'clock, whatever time kickoff is, we got to earn the right to go play our best, and it's going to be an awesome game.
Just following up, playing somebody a second time. Do you think it would advantage the offense or the defense?
That's a good question, Bob. I haven't really thought if one side of the ball has more of an advantage. I think just in regards to prep and some of the things you go through, all 3 phases got to look and see what did we do well game 1, what did we not, what are the things they're looking at to have answers for and continue to attack some of the deficiencies we've shown. We're doing the same thing on the flip side. Some deficiencies maybe we saw, we're going to try to attack. So you just got more film to use, but it's a whole new game.
Spencer, a few times, you guys haven't won back-to-back Mountain West titles. You also haven't won a title here on the Blue since 2019,
Absolutely.
which means Ben Dooley is a true freshman, Alexander Tubner, true freshman. Is that something that's came up at all with the guys this week to win it here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many parts of this, Jay, that are motivating, that when used the right way can focus on us continuing to have a great week of prep to go cut it loose on Friday night. Absolutely. I mean, you come to Boise State, the success that they've had for a long time, and haven't won a championship on the blue since 2019, and have had championships on the blue since then, haven't won them. Absolutely it is. And it's going to be a lot of players on our team that this is going to be their last game on the blue, and earning the right to go out there and protect is everything. There's no magic potion when we go play on the blue. No magic, oh my gosh, we're on the blue, so everything's going to go. Absolutely not. And I've been a part of games where it didn't go that way. It comes down to our prep and how we continue to earn the right to play our best. It's not going to be some pump-up speech. It's not going to be, oh, I wonder how hyped our guys are going to be. No, it's going to be about execution and us having a great week of prep so we can go cut it loose. Because you're right, there's a lot of things that you can point to that are motivating factors. For us, on UNLV's side as well, it's who focuses that to have their best week of prep to then go cut it loose.
When you have success, containing another team star player like you guys did with Ricky White in that first game, obviously the onus is going to be on them to kind of change the way they attack it, but I know you're not going to give away too much game plan, but how much do you weigh that you're going to have to change versus, well, this already worked this way?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we need our players to play fast and confident, right? Yes, there's going to be schematic switch-ups. Yes, there's going to be answers from things we saw game one that we got to change and do different. I also told our team, they got really good football players. That's why they're in the championship game. They're going to make their plays. Ricky White is going to make his plays. Williams is going to make his plays. We have to respond. Next play mentality. They're going to create explosive plays. One of the most explosive offenses in the country. There's going to be explosive plays on the blue. We have to respond to those. So a 25-yard pass, a big run doesn't turn into you bleeding all the way into a touchdown. That's what we got, and that's across the board. No different for our offense. They've got a really good defense. They're going to create chaos and disruption to get TFLs and get us behind the sticks. We got to respond. We got to play the next play. We got to flush it and move on to the next snap. So there's going to be schematic answers for us. They're going to have their schematic answers from what we saw game one or the first time we played. And it's who goes out and plays fast and confident at this point in the year.
Storylines down there already has been, that was the lowest yards per carry that Ashton Genty had, all season so far was against them the first time. I know that was a game where he hurt his elbow originally. How limited was he in that game, until he figured out what he was dealing with or whatever, and how much did that play into it? And I guess how, for him knowing that was a game that, I don't think he struggled in, but his yards per carry was the lowest it's been. What's that do for his, I guess, mindset or whatever coming into this one?
Yeah, BJ, I mean, UNLV had a great plan going to that game. From pressures to base defense to different personnel looks. And they played us really well in all three phases. I mean, it was an absolute heavyweight fight all the way down to the end. And so absolutely, I mean, they did a great job against our run and pass game. We made our plays just enough to win the game, but it was a heavyweight fight. So we got to find ways to be more explosive offensively. Ash did get banged in that game. He's a warrior. I mean, he's been getting banged up in every single game we play. Carries the ball 35 times a game. So by right now it's week 13 or game 13 of the season. He's fighting his tail off to continue to get healthy to play his best. In that game, he got banged up, but he's an absolute warrior. And I know we're going to see no different on Friday.
I just couldn't tell with the blue sleeve did he still wear that brace in the Oregon State game, or is he getting healthier there?
Yeah, he's getting healthier. Yeah, his elbow's getting better. I think right now we're just taping it, and he's healing.
Kind of on that same note, I think one of the biggest differences in this game is the fact that you probably are going to have two of your top 8 players on the roster back on this game that you didn't have for that game in Roger Carrion and Mason Randolph. So how much of a difference will those guys make in a matchup like this?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, as you get through a season, when you lose guys early, finding a way to get them back as the season is coming closer to an end is huge, especially with Roger and Mace. I mean, two of our better players, especially two of our leaders. Yes, they're rusty. Yes, there's things on film that I'm excited for them to improve on, but you talk about just the mentality of our team when they're out there. It's huge, getting those guys back, get healthy. No different on the flip side. I mean, UNLV's gotten some guys back. I know number 21's healthy, rolling. So that's always what you want is for you to, yes, you get guys banged up throughout a season, especially a long, grinding season. I mean, we've been playing 1 week at a time for 3 months now. Being able to get some guys back, get some guys healthy. We still got some guys out that it's still next man up mentality. I mean, it's the way it is right now in college football. No one's going to feel sorry for guys that are for a team that has some guys out that are good players. Next man's got to stand up. We do got some guys back that are going to help.
Did you notice anything different with Randolph back at center and did he exceed your expectations with 30 snaps? I mean, like what I mean, how do you think you did overall, given the fact that he's missed 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of Mason and Roger fighting their tail off to get back, get healthy. I really don't think that's common in college football. I think the easy thing would be to do is I'll see you guys in the offseason. And those two young men love their team, and they're relentless competitors. So, I mean, Roger being able to play Wyoming, play the entire game against Oregon State. Mace was able to play over 30 snaps. He did a really good job. There's some things, obviously, looking at it that got to knock some rust off. But, man, it was awesome to get those reps underneath them. And now being able to go into UNLV and be able to get those two guys full-time is going to be huge. I mean, got to give a shout-out to Zach Holmes, too. I mean, a guy that, just continues to step up and help our team. A guy that is one of the fan favorites on our team as well. Just a phenomenal personality. Our players, I mean, they're so close with each other. They love Zach Holmes. He stepped up and done a really good job. Getting a Mason and Roger back, I was joking with our O-line a week ago. I was like, boys, we're getting the band back together. It's just you can feel that with them, like the confidence that, I mean, Ben Dooley, Cage Casey, who've been just battling week after week after week. Hall Schmidt getting injured, find a way to battle. Big Lou, I mean, I can go through the entire O-line about just Coach Keen's done a phenomenal job with those guys, rotating, finding. I mean, and now we've built depth. We've had guys that had to step up, and we're excited where we're at now.
Possible chance you get Tubner back even in limited action this week? Or?
I hope so, BJ. Today at practice, he was able to do some stuff. Hopefully we get him back this week in some form or fashion. It was awesome getting him out there with cleats on, doing a lot of things. He's such a warrior. He will be ahead of schedule of any doctor. I know that. It's going to be close, though. But he did some stuff at practice today.
Marion McCoy, 3 pass breakups. And I think the thing that I noticed was the first one, he kind of had that chance to return it for a touchdown and
for sure.
Yeah,
did.
for sure, yeah. But he kind of was upset after that. And then the last one, it looked like he had a chance, but he didn't even try. He just fourth down situation, he just knocked it down.
Yeah.
Just to play that smart, and that unselfish. What's that say about him?
Yeah, I mean, Amara McCoy, so proud of him, especially like we've talked about before. I mean, against Wyoming, he did not play well. He didn't. He didn't respond well to adversity. Didn't play well. Seeing him come back, have a great week of prep, get challenged, because when you put stuff on film, you're going to get challenged here. Got challenged, and how he responded and how he played against Oregon State. Still some things to clean up. I mean, that should have been a pick 6 that he dropped. But even that, instead of going in the tank and frustrated about and thinking about the play that happened and then letting it affect other plays, he moved on from it. He was a great teammate, a great leader, and battled the entire game. Had some really good tackles, too. Very, very proud of him, and we're going to need all bit of that this week.
How much of a boost is it to have Andrew Simpson back in the lineup?
It's awesome. I mean, for our defense, who he is, I mean, he's one of the best blitzing linebackers we've had here. He brings a really good mentality and edge to our defense, too. Marco's done a phenomenal job this season. So proud of Marco. But getting Drew Brack adds a ton to our defense.
When it comes to a mobile quarterback, what's the tougher thing to prepare for? Like a guy, and Hodge can kind of do both, obviously, whether it be the design stuff or the stuff where he scrambles, because he scrambles quite a bit, too.
I've lived it. I've lived it multiple times that game. We're on 3rd down, and Williams takes off for a first. I mean, second play of the game, a design quarterback run, takes off for, I think, 80. I mean, he's impressive. Even seeing him game 1, honestly, I mean, he's faster and more impressive in person than even when I was watching film of him and seeing what he's been able to put together. And, I mean, they're throwing the ball for over 200 yards a game, too, along with them being one of the top 5 rushing offenses in the nation, and he's the 2nd leading rusher at quarterback. I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job, and you got the design quarterback runs that are a problem, and then the route concepts trying to deal with the amount of weapons they have on the outside and inside, and then if it's all covered down, great job defense, but the second he takes off, that's a problem too now. So we got our work cut out for us.
Especially recent weeks, it's like watching Michael Vick out there with Williams. Just from when you played him last time to even the film preparing for this week, he came in late because of the transfer stuff. And have you seen his confidence and comfort level with that offense improve as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think Williams, I mean, you look at all the Mountain West quarterbacks, I mean, he's playing at one of the highest levels of all of them. I mean, he's from where he, didn't start the year, whatever goes down, and he steps in, and just continues to put the team on his back, especially offensively. And they have just been explosive since he stepped in, especially as a senior transfer, man. I think the world of him. And he has gotten better week to week. Like I said, now not only are you dealing with how explosive he is from a run game and a scramble standpoint, I mean, there's throw after throw on film that I'm like, whew, like those are big-time throws now. And especially when you add that he can take off at any moment. And it's multiple times on film. It sounds good as a defensive coordinator, be like, we got a spy for him, we'll be good. Can that spy actually tackle him? And there's multiple times on film where he says, absolutely not. And so he's a matchup issue.
You saw Nevada have a spy out there this past week. I guess, is that something you're going to try and do this week with them? I guess, who would that probably be? Andrew?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to try a lot of ways to slow him down. I mean, once again, it's can we have a one-on-one matchup to get him down? Is going to be tough. So we got to find ways to continue to keep them off balance, especially with they put you in conflict offensively because they got a lot of design quarterback run game, and especially with Ricky White and Jesus. I mean, if you dictate too much to stop him, you don't want to be one-on-one out there all day. So we got some things we're working through. We're gonna have some schematic switch ups, which we need, and our guys got to go out and just be relentless. They got to play fast. We got to tackle. We got to play with great eye control. We got to communicate. We're gonna see a lot of different personnels, a ton of different movers, unbalanced, all these different things. We got to be ready to communicate and be on the same page.
Ricky White, the receiver, has a ton of your attention. How much does Ricky White, the special teams player, have your attention? I think he's blocked 4 kicks this year.
I mean, he's got my attention through the roof whenever he's on the field. He's that type of player. Offensively, one of the best receivers on the West Coast. Not just my opinion, stats, and who he is. Seen him last year, see him this year. Think the world of him as a receiver. What I think is so impressive is what he does on special teams. And the amount of block kicks he's had for touchdowns, his effort on special teams. When you're that elite of a receiver, that shows how much you care about your team. When he goes and puts it out on film consistently, what he does special teams. Well, I mean, we got to know where he's at all times, offensively and on special teams. I mean, he's impressive.
I think about, before you go back to last year, if you ask Boise State fans before the season to rank their Mountain West rivalries, I don't think UNLV would be very high up there. But, today, 3 games in the last 12 months, 2 championship games. How high do you think that shot up?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you play a team as many times as we would have now with UNLV, I don't know if you say it's a rival. There's a ton of respect, but every single game we've gone into, it's been an absolute dogfight. I think that's what makes these games that exciting for the fans and for college football is when you got 2 really good football teams. When they go head-to-head, no one's going to flinch. It makes it exciting. So, I mean, we continue to play, and we know we're going to get their best, and we got to earn the right to give them ours.
Spencer, you were hired a year ago tomorrow. Tomorrow, I also expect you to be named Mountain West Coach of the Year, which means team successes, which is where you're going to go. But just the last 365 days, what has that meant to you personally?
Yeah, Mike. I mean, you guys know me, man. I give Jesus all the glory first and foremost, and secondly, these kids and our staff. It's nothing I've done, and I don't say that to sound humble, and this is what a coach should say. I mean, the amount these kids impact me every day, I pick our brain staff more than anybody, from scheduling to ideas to how to do things better. I'm around amazing people that impact me way more than I impact them. And so being the head coach here for a full calendar year, I'm very humbled by it. I'm so blessed to be here. And like I've said before, I really do believe God has called me here to develop young men. Yes, on the way, winning championships, winning games, that's my job. But my calling is to develop these kids to where 5 years down the road, they're going to be better people. And there's nothing I'd rather do, Mike. No place I'd rather be than right here in Boise, Idaho with this group. I'm so passionate for it, and I'm so impacted by them every day. And whatever credit I'm given, I don't deserve it. The praise goes to Jesus, our players, our staff. And I mean that. I'm not saying that just because that's what I'm supposed to say. Like, that's really where my heart is. I'm just so blessed to walk in this building every day.
Spencer, 'tis the season, and no, I'm not talking about holiday playlist, although I'm assuming it's great. Yeah. December has turned into probably the most chaotic month of college football season, and last year you had some high-profile running back that was drawing interest from other institutions. I'm assuming that's probably coming for you if it hasn't already again this year. How do you plan to handle that with the portal?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so portal opens up the Monday after this coming Monday. And I know for sure. I mean, there's probably, I would say 13 of our players, if not more. I know for sure of 13 that are getting illegally recruited to get in the portal and get paid all this and that. That's happening. That's happening right now as we're winning games and as we're successful. I'm going to meet with our top players starting in that order on Sunday, and we're going to have our conversation about the future and what it looks like. And for me, it's not just in that one meeting, Jay, but it's hopefully from January and the whole time these guys have been here, they know that I'm a man of my word. We're going to do things the right way. We are going to develop them on and off the football field to, yes, play in the NFL, get drafted to the NFL, but most importantly, be ready for that moment when it comes. So that's happening. I mean, no different with coaches. I'm sure there's a bunch of our coaches that are having interest to get other jobs. It's my job to make sure our entire team, players and staff, man, it is focused on what we control, which is grown men finish what they start, and we are not done. It's no different for our entire team. And I'm going to meet with those guys on Sunday.
do you think that, I mean, I know we kind of ask you this almost every year, but like as you've been in your seat now for a full year, is there anything that you would like to see done? I mean, is it a matter of calling out institutions? I mean, if you know 13 guys are getting tampered with, like how is that fixed? You know, I mean, if it shouldn't be happening, how does that get solved?
Yeah, I don't know, Jay. That's a good question. I mean, I don't really let my mind go there too much because I'm a firm believer, control what you can control. I don't control those things. I do control how I build in these kids, and I do control how we support them, love them, take care of them, make sure they know they are valued here in all facets. That's what I focus on, and that's what I control, and that's what we're going to focus on every single day. And we're going to focus on that going forward. And I believe in this group that they're going to want to be a part of it and continue to push the needle forward like we've already done this year and even continue to push to new heights. So that's what I'm hanging my hat on in regards to how to get some of those things fixed. I don't have the answer, and no one's calling me to ask my opinion. I'm not going to waste time trying to think of it because it's not my place. I'm going to focus on doing the best job I can with these young men and developing them for life, and no different in recruiting. No different with the high school players we recruit, the junior college players we recruit. I'm very open about what it is here. We don't need to find 200 players that fit Boise State. I need to find the right 20, 25. That's it. And we will find the guys that are wired, the guys that are built different, the guys that want to be a part of a family. We're going to find those guys. And no one might know a lot about them as freshmen, but I promise you when they're sophomores and juniors, they'll be some of the best football players in the country because I know how they got it here. So that's our focus. And we're going to continue to do that and push forward. And for our guys that are getting illegal recruited, I say 13 just because I know how talented these are. If they're getting called or not, I'm more assuming that that's happening. We'll have those conversations and we'll keep pushing forward.
How do you feel about, sportsmanship? I know you love college football. Winning a game and planting your flag on their field. Or, hey, I don't like you. I'm not going to shake your hand pregame. We're just not going to do it. Does that bug you at all?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, especially as coaches, and trust me, I've been fired up and intense a lot. But hopefully, and I'm not by any means saying that this is me all the time, so make sure we take this the right way. We should model that for our players. Yes, I've been fired up. Yes, I've probably tried to chase somebody around to get them before them. So once again, I'm not saying me, but I think we as coaches got to work to model that. Now, what you love about college football, it is intense. There are rivalries. There's in-state rivalries. Yes, I saw a bunch of this stuff with planting the flag. I'm not going to speak a lot to that. I have not been in that situation, so I can't sit here and say what I would have done or not done because I haven't been in that situation. I do know tempers fly and there's a lot of emotion, but something I always work to do, by no means do I do it the right way all the time, is model what it looks like to be a man of character and sportsmanship. Even when, as a competitor, the hardest part is when you give your everything and come up short. I get it. I mean, I'm watching some of these videos. There's a lot of things going on in college football. Rivalry week was a lot to watch.
You mentioned the coaching staff. They mentioned twice on the broadcast that basically Nate Potter's taking over as OC. Did they misspeak, or is there a plan in place there? Or anything?
Yeah, still working through it. I mean, that's something I'm going to handle after the championship game, and we'll cross that bridge next week.
Spencer, Ashton Genty has rushed for more yards through 12 games than any other human to play this game in a quarter of a century. This last weekend after the Colorado game, Deion Sanders said that the Heisman race is pretty much over and locked up. Do you feel like the Heisman race is over and locked up?
Absolutely not. And I'm not going to speak a lot to the Heisman yet. That is going to be coming from me here soon. Ashton Genty's the best football player in the country. And for me, if you're one of the best players in the country, you play in a championship game.
Great, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
What'd you see, if anything, the differences of getting your line healthy and guys who were playing a lot in the beginning of the season working their way back in, Coach?
Yeah, I saw a lot, actually. So one thing, we've missed Roger and Mason. We missed them this year. Like, we missed those are two really good players. I mean, I'd be willing to bet that both those guys would be all conference caliber players. The guys that stepped in, and we had multiple guys step in, did a really nice job. But deep down, they're not as good of players. They're just not. And when Roger came back 2 weeks ago, he was a little rusty. And Mason came back this week. He was on a pitch count. He was a little rusty. But you can see the difference in the power, in the strength, and the movement. You can see it. What that's done, though, now is we've gotten a lot of guys back, and we have good depth. I mean, it's forced us to have depth. We don't know how many games we have left, but we're out there today, and we're rolling deep in O-linemen. So it's really bodes well for the future, but getting those guys back is definitely a plus, and we didn't have them in the first UNLV game.
Will Mason be off the pitch count this week? Or?
I'm not sure about that. That's above my pay grade.
Jackson Woodard.
Which isn't very much, by the way. That's a very low pay grade.
Jackson Woodard this week. I don't know in the times like how you try to neutralize a linebacker that wrecks as much havoc as he does. And how do you prepare to?
I think they have three of the best individual defenders we've played against all year in 7, 1, and 2. All right, they got a linebacker, they got a boundary safety, and they got a defensive end who plays most of his time in the boundary. So all three of those guys are really good players, and they're all in the boundary. So maybe we should go to the field. No, they're really good players, 7-1 are ball hawks on top of being good players. Their secondary is all good tacklers, and we're gonna do what we do, and we know we have a lot of respect for UNLV. This is strength on strength. They're good in the same area as we are. Their defense they're strong where we're strong. It's going to be a good matchup. I mean, they're good in the same areas. They're as good as anybody we played, maybe better.
Coach, in the NFL, you get your divisional opponents. You play home and away every time.
Yeah.
And this is kind of one of those scenarios.
It
You
is.
got them away, now you get them at home. What's the key to the turnaround when you play them again?
Yeah, that's a good question. It seems like you get to the end of the year, you got all this tape, but since they played us, they've played all spread teams, right? Since they played us, they played Hawaii, San Jose, Nevada, and San Diego State. Those are the 4 games they played. So we're sitting there going, hey, where's all the other film that looks like us? They didn't play Wyoming. They didn't play Colorado State. They played Fresno State early. So we've been kind of slugging it out here the last few weeks, and they've been playing spread teams. Now we're coming back together, and that's one thing you don't get in the NFL because everybody's pretty much the same scheme-wise, pretty much. So we don't really know what changes they've made because they haven't played anybody like us. They can definitely see what we've been doing the last few weeks. Although the O lineman coming back, that's probably the biggest change. But yeah, that's a good point. Is playing them twice in a year and 3 times in 1 year, but that happens in the NFL all the time. Yeah, I think just the home field, the crowd. It was loud. It was loud when we played down there last time. They had a record crowd, and they'll get to see what a loud crowd is here this time.
What's your experience in the return games in the division? Does the offense or the defense generally have the better advantage in the second?
Yeah, I do not know the answer to that. That's a good question. I cannot give you anything because I don't know the answer. I'd say probably trust your players to do their thing.
In terms of yards per carry, that was Ashton's lowest game first time you played them. Maybe the offensive lineman being out is what you're talking about with you had 2 starters out that game. Did they do anything in particular to slowed him more than other teams have? Or?
They're good against the run, period. All right, they're giving up 101 yards a game. They've only had 2 teams rush for over 150 in a game all year. Kansas, early in the year, rushed for like 193, and we rushed for like 185. So they're good against the run. Then their secondary can tackle. Like we try to make team secondaries tackle. Like we want to cover up the interior guys and the linebackers and make their DBs tackle. These guys are a good tackling team. Obviously they have a defensive head coach who's been very successful. I think if you really go back and study that tape from the first game, I think we left a few out there. I mean, they're going to try to stop us. We know that everyone's going to try to stop us, but we left a few out there in the run game.
Just everything at stake here with the playoffs, potential first round bye, all the money involved. As an Idaho kid, is this the biggest football game ever played on Idaho soil?
I do not know. I thought Highland Pokey was the biggest game played on Idaho soil. Highland Pokey, 12,000 in the mini dome. That's hard to beat. This is a big game for sure, and whatever comes after comes after. But this is the biggest game this week for sure on Idaho soil.
Along those same lines, I mean, in '99 and 2000, you guys were just excited to play Louisville and Utah. That was a big deal. Now
We beat them too.
Exactly. Now it's a top 4 seed, right to play for the national championship, and you've obviously become very fond of Boise State. So, how would you describe this crazy 25-year ride?
Yeah, that part is really amazing. I mean, that same Highland Pokey rivalry that was getting 12,000. That's when Bronco Stadium was in those days seating 19 or 20,000, and when I was in the press box last week, and they popped that thing up to over 37,000 again. I call Pete, I call Hawk. I tell them, can you believe they're averaging 37,000 fans a game here? Like, that's crazy. And looking over at that student section, they had to resell those tickets because the students those people were packed in there tight. And they got there early. That was very cool to see. And yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And God bless the college football playoff for creating this excitement, not just here, but a lot of different places. I think it's awesome for college football. I hope they expand it to 16 like they're talking about, and I hope they don't forget the little guys.
There was like a year and a half there where on offense, it didn't seem like we really knew what Boise State's identity was. Are they going to be up-tempo? Are they going to slow it down? Are they going to run the ball? Are they going to throw the ball? And ever since you've been calling plays, Dirk, like, it's been pretty clear. Like, you guys run the football. You guys have averaged almost 250 yards rushing since when you've been calling plays. So how pleased are you with the identity that you've been able to create on offense,
Yep.
and how these guys have obviously, embraced it?
Well, I've said many times in here, our team's just built that way right now. I mean, when I was here the first time, I wanted to throw it every play. And, we wanted to run all kinds of crazy stuff. But right now, I mean, we got really good running backs. I mean, when I came back last time, we didn't know what we had in Taylon Green when we first started. I mean, we were shut out in the first half, that first game. But, we went from Taylon with good tailbacks to now we have a really good O-line and good tailbacks. A great tailback. Maybe the best tailback in the country. Maybe the best player in the country. But that's the way we're built. So we'd be foolish to not play to their strengths.
That's also going to be an identity you embrace, though, right?
Oh, the players like it. I mean, maybe the receivers don't. But the O-line, they like it. Yeah, those guys like – the O-linemen want to run block. They don't want to pass block.
Max Madsen, 21 touchdowns, 3 picks this year. I know he's not perfect, but, man, that seems like a recipe for success, those numbers married together.
7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I had our guys do a little study for me, and I think in like the last 20 years, there's only been 42 quarterbacks that have had above 7-to-1. These guys can give you the exact numbers on that, but it's pretty high. I think there's only one other guy this year, maybe Clemson's quarterback, is like 9-to-1. He's like 27-to-3 or something like that. But 7-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, and Mad Dog's had a couple games where he could definitely play better. But when Mad Dog makes us go, and he made really good decisions last week. He was accurate. He was on time. He made good decisions with his legs. We had another game with no sacks. I think we're something like, I don't know. We're top 10 in the country in fewest sacks. I don't know what the number is. We're top 10 in the country in fewest interceptions. Now UNLV is top 10 in getting interceptions. So, again, I said it's strength on strength. But Mad Dog is a really good player for what we are right now, and he does what we need him to do. That's what quarterbacks are supposed to do.
Do you, I know that he's like the ultimate competitor and stuff like that. Do you spend any extra time before a championship game reminding, not make the moment any bigger or anything like that, or is he just kind of equipped for it already?
I think Coach Danielson handles our whole team. Coach D's in charge of how our team prepares and motivation. He does a really good job, and I'll let him. I'm not going to step on his toes on that. Coach D, he does a good job of getting our team ready for every week.
Over the past month, has there been a purpose to get him more carries, or is it just the opportunities in the game that are coming up?
Doing what we feel like we have to do to win the game. Like we've been in playoff mode for a while, so we're doing what we feel like we have to do to win, and I'm not going to apologize for that.
It seems to me that when he's at his best, you look at the end of the game and there's 8 or 9 different guys that catch passes. Is that because he's better? Is it because the receivers are better? When you look back at the film, what causes the high spread out of catches?
Yeah, I can't speak to the number of guys, but I think it's just more when we stay ahead of the chains, we're better. And then, but just before I forget about, we had the ball a lot in the first half. When I looked at the stat thing at halftime, which I never look at it until halftime, Ashton had 21 carries at halftime. I think we ran 48 plays. Okay, so you're on track for 96 plays in a game. That's like 30 over your normal. So, and we didn't have very many explosives. We only had 9 explosives. We had, I think, 3 15-ish play drives. We were barely making 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. So getting back to that carries thing, I asked Ashton the day before the game how many he had in him, and he said whatever it takes. That was a good answer. That was exactly the answer I was looking for. We want to get the receivers more involved. I do see that when those guys get involved more, it's good for everybody. But when we don't get them, either it was we didn't have the right plays, we didn't have the right schemes, or we didn't protect good enough, or maybe Mad Dog misses a throw. We had 5 drops the other day, guys. We had 5 drops. Like, we can't drop balls that we're supposed to catch. So, but I do recognize that. I think there is something to that. I can't really wrap my head around it.
Passes are caught by maybe 2 guys versus 7.
Yeah, I think that's sort of just luck of the draw. Some games we have more groups than others. Like we group stuff different every week, depending on trying to match up run and pass. That's all.
There's a lot of debate this time of year with the Heisman Trophy and all that kind of stuff. But just for you, how much fun has it been to coach Ashton Jeanty this year?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like I personally don't deal with Ashton that much. I mean, Jimmy coaches him. I don't even really talk to Ashton that much. So to ask him how many carries he's got in him that week. It's been fun to watch as a fan. I mean, I marvel at the guy, but between him and what he does, and Jimmy Montgomery coaching him, and Nate Potter with the run design, and Tim Keene with the O-line, those are the guys that are really coaching him. I'm just calling the play to get it to him, like get him the ball.
Last year, there was a large percentage of your receiving yards were off screen passes. Not necessarily the case this year. Look at Maddox, where he thrived as kind of that intermediate pass,
Yep.
that 10 to 19 yard range. He's one of the best in the country when it comes to that 10 to 19 yard range. Why has he been so kind of effective at that yardage?
Well, we are not a good screen team. First off, I love screens. No one likes screens more than me, but we are not a good screen team. So I've said it in here multiple times. You play to your strengths, you hide your weaknesses. And it doesn't matter if it's screens, outside runs, runs up the middle, runs around the end, reverses. You're going to play to your strengths, you're going to hide your weaknesses. Now, let me just tell you something. I know our weaknesses more than any person in this room. I know you guys all think you do. I know our weaknesses. Okay? I'm going to play to our strengths, hide our weaknesses. That's what I'm going to do. You guys good? You guys with me on that?
What makes Boise State not a good screen team?
We're not good at it, Mike. We're not good at it. I can tell you the reasons, but I will after the season. I'll tell you what the reasons are. I know what they are. I'm not going to tell you right now, but we're not good. We're not a good screen team.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Good afternoon. How nice will it be to have the home crowd behind you on Friday in a championship game, and looks like a sellout crowd, and just with all this, how loud they've been all season. Can you imagine, I guess, with so much on the line, what the atmosphere will be like Friday?
No, I think it's always good to be at home, and then to be on the blue is pretty special. Give these seniors one more chance to play on the blue before their career's done. The crowd here has been unbelievable all year. Even day after Thanksgiving, a lot of people probably could be doing other stuff out of town. Students out of town. The crowd's been Bronco Nation's been awesome the entire year, so it'll be great. It'll be awesome to get a big time game on the blue. That there's obviously a lot at stake.
Before the first play of the game, they get called for down there in the south end zone for a false start. There's another one on the drive. I know it's kind of a common sense answer, but in a championship game, if you can get the best atmosphere of the season, how much of an advantage is that for you?
Yeah, I think any time that, in this day and age, some quarterbacks, I'm sure, do a lot on their own. Some rely on the coordinators, don't know exactly what their philosophy is, but anytime the coordinator has a hard time communicating with the quarterback, anytime the quarterback has a hard time communicating with the receivers and offensive linemen out there, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. They have to change their snap count sometimes, a few extra penalties here and there that can make the difference in the game. So that will be awesome.
Spencer was mentioning, a big bounce back game from Amari and McCoy last week. Just after his Wyoming performance, what do you like when what you saw out of him?
Yeah, I thought Amarion played extremely well the other last weekend. Big key for any DB is getting some wins early. I thought he got some wins early. More importantly, I thought his technique was really good. His leverage was really good. He was finishing on the football. Obviously, we all know we would have liked him to have a couple interceptions that I thought were there. But getting that confidence back, I think he'll be in position to get those interceptions the next time. So super happy for Amarion, Devon, Jeremiah, those guys. Rodney Robinson had an unbelievable football game. So I'm really proud of those guys.
You mentioned the interceptions, and there's the one that could have been the pick six, but later in that game on that last fourth down stop, looked like he might have had another chance at one, but he made the play to just knock it down and not go for the interception. And just how smart of football is that? And just in that situation, what's that say about his unselfishness?
Yeah, I think, we talk about situations a lot. Doesn't always go your way, especially when you're dealing with DBs. They want to intercept the football, but that was a very headsy play. That's fourth down. You do something crazy right there and you whiff and they get a first down. The game prolongs. To be able to PBU that thing and to not tip the ball up to another potential receiver or someone else on offense is a very smart football play, big-time football IQ.
When it comes to Marion, they targeted him something like 13 times in that game. How early could you kind of sense that was what Oregon State kind of wanted to do? And then what does it take for a defensive back to – I mean, that's a pretty high volume, obviously, to be targeted that many times.
No, I think, we talked about it. Me and him talked early last week. That wasn't his best performance at Wyoming. He knew that. I knew that. He handled it like a man. We talk a lot about where there's problems, there's opportunities, and we told him there's going to be opportunities. You are going to get targeted this game. That's the nature of the beast. You don't perform well one week, the next week you're going to get tested. And I thought he stood up to that challenge. I thought he practiced well all week last week, but couldn't be more proud of the way he handled that whole situation.
You got Harsh Malik Williams coming up. I mean, he's a guy, pass, design, run, scramble, fix broken plays. Just what are you expecting out of him this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's really made this offense go, as he got in there. And the first time we played him, we knew he was going to be the quarterback. We had a little film on him, not as much. He can make some design QB runs. Probably didn't give him enough credit the first time around. We had played Mateer, and I thought, that man, that's a fast quarterback that can really go, which I still think that John Mateer is, but I don't think we gave him enough credit for the way he can get slippery and get out of trouble and avoid tackles. Like, you just watch the film over and over and over. The pocket breaks down, he's out. And RPO breaks And this is obviously a conference championship game, so there's nothing to hold inside the coat pocket for later on down the road. So I think we're going to see their best, and they're going to see ours moving forward.
Sounds like, according to Spencer, that there's an outside chance Tubner could get out there this week. I mean, it said he was out there today doing some stuff. Just to see a guy like that with the injury he had, trying everything he can to get back for this game, what's that say? And obviously he's had pretty good games against UNLV in the past.
Yeah, I think the team responds well to that, just to see how hard and how diligently he's working to get the rehab. And, we talk about it a lot, like it's just another Monday in the building. It's week 12 or 13, whatever it is. We got to do this again. It's the same thing over and over. Alex Tubner wishes he had just another Monday. Some of the other guys on our team wish they had just another Monday, and they don't. So we all have to look at how he operates and see that it's bigger than ourselves. I mean, shoot, we go out there for our dang pregame walkthrough, 5:30 a.m. or whatever. It was dark outside still. He's in there in the indoor working out with the trainers. So I hope he can get back out there. Obviously, we're not going to push him to the point that he needs to be pushed past. But if he's ready, he's going to be in the lineup and he's going to be ready to go. If he's ready to play partially, he'll do that. But any way to get him back on the field is a win for the Broncos.
You brought up Rodney subtly just a moment ago. He suited up against San Jose State, didn't play. You've had him the last 2 weeks, and defensively, you guys have been pretty good the last 2 weeks. When it comes to a team like UNLV and setting edges and tackling all this stuff, how important could a guy like Rodney Robinson be in this matchup?
I tell you what, very important, number one. Number two, couldn't be more proud, couldn't be more excited about Rodney Robinson. He has made sacrifices for this team. He has played on multiple special teams. We have asked him to play multiple positions, to learn other positions in case of injury and back up those positions. And he has done it with a smile on his face to his best ability. He has been an unbelievable teammate. He is definitely a huge part of the success of our team this year. So Rodney Robinson will be paramount in this game.
Ahmed, I know, I think the thing about him that stands out to me this year is, you look at, his overall sack numbers, and they don't mimic what he did last year, but his pressures are through the roof. He's hit the quarterback about as much as anybody else in the country. He's had, at least half a tackle for loss in 11 of 12 games. What would you say about Ahmed's consistency? And it feels like that was kind of like the next part of his evolution is game in, game out, being the same dude.
Yeah, I think his consistency is really, really high. You watch the film, and there's a couple sacks out there like we talked about before that he maybe missed or hit the guy and somebody else cleaned it up. So maybe his sack total could be as high as it was in the last year. But I know this, he's playing at a really high level. He's playing better football than he did last year. He's playing well against the run. He's doing multiple jobs. We were sliding him into some 3 technique. He's playing on the edge, but he's putting an impressive film resume together that he can do everything. It's not just, hey, on passing downs, I need to rush the edge. That guy's an every down player, and I think that's pretty cool.
You see, a couple weeks ago when we talked to him, it was the first time where you could tell he was having a little mental maybe moment where his sack total wasn't up, and maybe he felt like he wasn't meeting expectations, but convincing himself that other people were. Again, when you look at the pressures, he's doing it. So I don't know, how have those kind of conversations gone with you and him to still realize that results are there, even though the most notable one might be a little less?
Yeah, I don't think it takes too much, because I think Ahmed understands, when you try to do something out of character, out of what your job detail requires, that hurts the team. And the last thing that Ahmed wants to do is hurt the team. And I think that's why, he has played unbelievably in the run. And once again, sometimes stats don't show up. Other people, it's easy to get a tackle when Ahmed has collapsed the whole edge and the tight end and the tackle are trying to double team him, and he's still penetrating upfield and collapsing the edge, and there's unblocked players. That's easy to make a tackle. Doing the stuff that he does is not easy at all. It's not fun. But once again, he does it with a smile on his face to help the team.
get Andrew Simpson back last week and played a good amount of the game. I know he's known kind of as that splash player guy. He's made some splashy plays against UNLV these last 2 games. Why is that the matchup he seemed to kind of thrive in, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, sometimes players like that they have a way to find it. Some of those guys that you watch in the NFL, they got a way to get the ball out. They got a way to get an interception. They got a way to make a play when the team needs it. And I think those big environments spark him even more. And I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did. If I did, I'd have a whole bunch of those dudes on the team. But it's just one of those things that certain players, man, and when the lights get bright, they get brighter, and plays seem to come their way.
A rematch with UNLV. Any gut feeling on, does an offense have more of an advantage in a rematch? Does the defense? And then maybe what are the benefits from the defensive side facing a team for a second time, and what are the pitfalls?
Yeah, I think, there's definite benefits and definite cons on both sides. I mean, we've got a ton of tape on them. They've got a ton of tape on us. Some of the games that they've played won't have much relationship to what we're going to do. Some of the games we've played won't be very beneficial to them. I think you have a great feeling for their personnel now. But an offensive coach, there's a lot of shifts and motions you can create and run the same play. Defense, you can dress it up a little differently and run the same defense, but there's still a lot that you have to prepare for. And I think anytime you get in a championship game, you got to forecast ahead a little bit of what are these wrinkles going to be. I mean, shoot, last time we saw them, I think we saw unbalanced like 10 times. And, that wasn't something that we were 100% ready for. Obviously ready for unbalanced, but didn't expect it to be at such a premium. So what's going to be the next evolution in their formation and motion and shifts and those kind of things?
You look at rushing totals and Boise State and UNLV aren't far off. The biggest difference is you guys got one dude and they got like 4. What's it like to kind of just prepare for that? You talk about wrinkles, like how much more can they throw at you? How different are all those guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is anytime the quarterback is a good runner, like they've created an extra gap by him being able to pull the ball and run it. So those are things you got to account for in each one of your defenses. If a guy's going to stand in the pocket, you may have to account for something else, the way he can read coverage and those kind of things, but it's not creating the extra gap. So when you can run your quarterback, that always causes issues. It takes us more time to make sure that we're gap sound in every defense we're facing. So I think just that element, not only does having the quarterback that can run it and get some yards, that bumps the stats up, but that makes everybody else's totals go up too when they're accounting for him in the count.
Do you feel like Hodge better than the first go around? I mean, when you look at like those first 3 games, you've thrown some pretty big yardage totals. And ever since he played you, it has kind of, I don't know, he hasn't quite had those like 275-yard games. It's been more balanced out. Do you feel like you guys know him better, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows him a little better because there's more film out there. And some of those totals, obviously, like they played San Jose in a monsoon, so I wouldn't hold a passing total like that against anybody. A couple of those games they've got up big and haven't needed to throw it, so you can make stats always whatever you want of him. He's still a very good passer. They still got really good receivers. I think that they can air the ball out if they need to.
Thanks, gents.
Thank you, guys.